Lyes, thoughts on the Xavi Hansi Flick situation at Barca? How well do you think Flick will do at Barcelona? It's a tough one, right? Honestly, first of all, I have to say the way the Xavi situation has gone down at Barcelona has really disheartened me. Because I think Barcelona, and this isn't at their fans, I think Barca have an amazing fan base. Honestly, I know we had our differences at points this season, but I got nothing but love for Barcelona, honestly. When I was a kid, when it came to like Barca versus Real Madrid and Clásicos, I was always Barca. But I'm sorry, this Barcelona club, not even team, Barcelona, it's not, I don't recognize this club anymore. Honestly, like this used to be a club that no matter what, prided themselves on doing things the right way. And I'm sorry, but the last 6-7 years, you've done things anything but the right way. The way the Suarez thing went down. Is it Suarez's fault that he was washed? Nah. Like I said, for a club that used to do things the right way, or you pride yourselves on doing it, you guys do it anything but the right way now, man. The way you guys are treating like your biggest legends, kicking them out the back door for what? To get a new stadium, to fund your, what is it, your third or fourth lever. The shit you guys did to Xavi, man. If you want to say Suarez was washed, fairs, man. No one is bigger than the club. No one outlives the club. I hear it. Messi, it was a tough one, right? Messi, you guys couldn't afford him. Like, it's sad the way it ended. Is it 100% Barca's fault? Maybe not. But this Xavi shit, bro, makes me sick, man. Honestly. This is one of your club's greatest ever legends, bro. A former captain, won 2 trebles for the club, brought you guys back from the fucking wilderness when he took you guys over from Ronald Koeman. Let's not forget where Barcelona were when Xavi took them over. Mid-table, eliminated from the Champions League, 1,000,000 points away from Real Madrid. He came in January, brought you guys back into the top 4. The next season won you the league. And this season, it was tough. It's a struggle. I hear it. It didn't go 100% the way you wanted to. But that's not even my issue here. If you guys wanted to fire him, so be it. You guys begged him to stay. All year, Xavi made his decision. He wants to leave. Every week, we hear Laporta saying, no, we want Xavi to stay. We want Xavi to stay. We want Xavi to stay. Xavi eventually says, I bet. You know what? I love this club. I love the fans. I know what this club means to me. I'm going to stay another year. Because that's what the club needs. And then you guys go behind his back and sack him like this. What, because he's not playing Vitor Roque? Nah, man, this is some slimy shit, man. This is some slimy shit. And for who? Hansi Flick. It's not Guardiola. It's not even Jurgen Klopp. Hansi Flick is who got you basically backstabbing your legends like this. I can't lie, man. I would love if a Barcelona fan came in here and corrected me. If I'm missing anything about the story, by all means, any Barca fan, come correct me. I'd love to hear the truth about this. But from an outsider looking in, this is sickening, bro. Honestly, it's sad to see. It's sad to see. They sacked him because he said Barca weren't financially able to compete with the big clubs. Where is the lie? Barcelona sacked him for telling the truth. That's basically what I just heard there. It's bewildering to me. Now, Hansi Flick. Let's talk about him. This is a manager, right, that's kind of had his reputation scorned. The Bayern Munich job, the way it ended, not the best. The Germany job, the way that shit ended. That World Cup documentary we got where he was trying to tell the team one thing and Kimmich was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Here's where I stand on Hansi Flick. I like Hansi Flick. I love watching his teams play as a neutral. As a neutral are the key words there. When I want to watch an entertaining game of football, Hansi Flick's teams usually entertain me. But that doesn't mean that they're the best footballing team. That doesn't mean that it's the most conducive to winning. Hansi Flick's team, I like to always say, he coaches his teams a bit like a catch-22. What does that mean? He has like this high line, right? The way Hansi Flick plays is this outrageously high line. Sometimes you'll see his defensive line situated at the halfway line. It's that high. And they tend to choke teams into their own half, meaning that when they lose the ball, they press so high up that they win the ball in seconds. That first edition of Bayern Munich in 1920, it worked a treat because he had some of the best players in the world executing his game plan to perfection. He had the hottest striker on the planet in Lewandowski. He had Thiago Alcantara basically pulling the strings like a magician. He had Thomas Muller in the form of his life. Gnabry was playing like a crackhead. The defense was playing amazing, and you had Neuer still playing like peak Neuer, basically. But we saw in that next season against PSG, that the reason it's a catch-22 is because as good as the high line was in helping them press and recover the ball high and play the way they wanted to, defensively, it meant that any team who perfectly executed counterattacks would be able to hurt them more than any high line team on the planet. Already, you play a high line, you know the risk, you know the reward. But you have to balance it out. Hansi Flick, it's high risk or high reward, arguably even higher risk that you could argue outdoes the reward. The PSG tie was the prime example of that because you had probably the best creator in Neymar with the best outlet in world football in Mbappe. And time again, those two exploited that Bayern Munich team. They exposed them. They exposed Hansi Flick's tactics over two legs. You could even argue, though, that Lewandowski, if he was fit for that tie, they probably win that tie. But defensively, he was exposed. He leaves at the end of the season. No one really thinks much of it. He leaves as a sextuple winner for Bayern. He goes to Germany. And he executes basically the same tactics. The difference is, though, and it's always the difference with international football, you can't go buy players to execute your game plan. You're dealt the hand that's given to you. You're dealt the generation at your disposal. You can't go buy Lewandowski and convert him into a German. You're stuck with Kai Havertz and Timo Werner up front. You can't go convert David Alaba into a center back for Germany. You're stuck with Niklas Süle in the back. And I do believe that I think his system and his game plan and his style of management has kind of been exposed at this point. The risk isn't worth the reward anymore unless he changes things up. Now, Barcelona, you look at some of the pieces that he has at his disposal. You could argue that this Barcelona team is set up to execute a form of Hansi Flick's football. In Araujo, in Kubarsi, in Jules Koundé, in Cancelo, you have a very athletic back line. Ter Stegen, you have that sweeper keeper. In midfield, you have some wonderful technicians. And in attack, you have a pretty athletic forward line in the likes of Rafinha, in the likes of, well, Lewandowski is definitely on the decline. Lamine Yamal, you have some talent up front, and you're only going to have to keep improving on that. Barcelona have to buy players this summer. So is it the worst situation for him to come into? No. Barcelona have a talented team. Let's not get it twisted. But I hope in the last year or so, Hansi Flick has kind of done what Guardiola did when he left Barcelona. I hope he's done what... who are some other managers that kind of took a sabbatical and Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe in that period when he left Bournemouth. They say Eddie Howe went to Atletico Madrid to learn off Diego Simeone in terms of how can I improve my defensive game plan. And you look at Newcastle now, it definitely worked. I hope Hansi Flick... What was that? Brendan Rodgers might have done similar. I hope Hansi Flick in the last year and a half has done similar. Because if he goes into Barcelona expecting that he can just play the way he wants to and it's so overpowered that it doesn't matter what teams do against him, he's going to fail just like he did at Germany and just like he inevitably did at Bayern Munich. But he's a good player. He's a good coach, excuse me. He is a good manager. But I reiterate it, I hate the way Barcelona has treated Xavi, man. I hate it. Oh yeah, by the way, last point on that, right? This Barcelona team, the way Hansi Flick wants to play, if they play against Real Madrid like that, with Vinicius, Rodrigo, Jude Bellingham, Camavinga, Valverde, and soon Kylian Mbappe, is GG. Is game over. They don't stand a chance. They don't stand a chance. El Clasicos will be bloodbaths if Hansi Flick plays the way he played at Bayern in Germany with Barcelona and El Clasicos. It'll be GG, bro. Obviously, he won't play against Madrid like that. He's not dumb. Against PSG, even Xavi did not play. Bro, you say he's not dumb. It's not that Hansi Flick is a dumb man, but Hansi Flick is a very stubborn man, or at least he has been to this point in his career. Hansi Flick played that way against PSG, who were literally a counter-attacking team with the best playmaker in behind in Neymar and the best transition player in the world in Mbappe. So Hansi Flick isn't dumb, but he is stubborn. No doubt about it. Lucas Classic says, as a German, I can't believe Hansi Flick gets such a big job after his complete failure as a coach for the German national team. And Huncholo says, hard to form a good pressing structure of Robert and Ilkay in the middle, no? I don't see why you can't form a good structure with Ilkay Gundogan. I don't agree with that. Then I would like to say after 3 years, he has learned more. That's what I'm saying. Requiem, I said for a reason, I hope in this year and a half away from football, Hansi Flick has kind of gone back to the drawing board and adapted as a manager. Because that's what all the best do. Sir Alex Ferguson didn't manage and be successful for 26 years by playing the same way. He adapted. He learned off other guys. He brought in different assistant coaches to help adapt. So I'm just like you. I would hope that in this time away from football, Hansi Flick has adapted. Do I think Lewandowski gets a bit too much disrespect after going to Barca these days? I think he does. I think Lewandowski in general gets too much disrespect. His time at Bayern Munich is extremely disrespected. Do I think he was as good as Suarez? Definitely not. And at their best, would I take him over Benzema? No, I wouldn't. But the way people talk about Lewandowski and his records and just people downplay it by Bundesliga tax or Farmers League, and then in the same breath talk about the goals that Harry Kane scored this season, I think he's extremely disrespected. Lewandowski turned the Bundesliga into a Farmers League because there's a reason no one before and after him has basically been able to do what he did since Gerd Muller. Even Harry Kane in this amazing season still didn't touch Lewandowski's best season. So I do think he's disrespected. Nowadays, though, I do think he's heavily on the decline. I think Barcelona would do well to look in a different direction in terms of their striker. Just because Lewandowski, he's physically declining. He isn't the same striker he was a few years ago. That's natural.